This is the Bar Stewards Inquiry.
You're talking absolute rubbish. Absolute rubbish.
In what way?
You were an underachiever in life. I saved your bacon one time. You were gone.
You handled that well. I couldn't save you. But you did the right thing.
Well, that's why you don't know anything about racing, John.
I didn't say I do.
Right?
I'm saying that...
What have you contributed to racing? You're one of these take-out merchants. Take out all you can.
Hello and a very warm welcome to the Bar Stewards Inquiry Weekend Podcast. My name's Lee Keys of systembet.co.uk, and discussing this weekend's bets and a few other hot topics is my counterpart John Leng of John Joe's Blogspot on Facebook. Really good blog spot that if you want to give it a whirl. John comes up with his selections and monetary stakes every day. And there's quite a bit of banter on there too, so it's well worth a look. We now move on to this weekend's action, and me and John, I think we're hoping, John, aren't we, to repeat last week's fare where we just blitzed it.
Might just take a bit of repeating, like.
I think so. I think we had our Everest last week.
Might have peaked too early, you know.
In flat season, yeah.
Yeah, it could be downhill the rest of the season after that.
I think so. Did you do any good at Chester this week?
Well, I've got to the end of Chester and I've still got a shirt on my back, so I'll take that. I'm not a big fan of punting at Chester, to be honest. I had one or two fairly mental punts and managed to turn it round most days, yeah. So I'm still in there swinging anyway. So
no, I mean, from my angle, I didn't really get too involved at Chester this week. I just felt that it's one of those tracks really. If you need to bet there, if you really need to bet there, then bet. But I don't think we need 47,000 other variables into bets. You know, like when we've got, it's difficult enough to back winners anyway. And if you miss the break there after like 5 yards, it's just, you may as well turn off. So Chester really don't float my boat. I like the meeting. I do. You know, when there's crowds there, I do like the fair. I like the last meetings. It's quite historic, but it's not.
It's a nice meeting to attend, isn't it? You know, I mean,
oh yeah.
If you're just going there for a bit of fun and garp at some of the girls from Hollyoaks and whatever, yeah, I mean, that's all right. You can do that. But,
yeah, a few Mickey Mouse there. Yeah.
Oh, absolutely.
The entry, possibly, you know.
Yeah, 18 stilettos.
Yeah, fake. Yeah, after a bottle of champagne, knickers are showing, and you know.
Yeah, usually on the heads.
So hopefully as to what we did last week. We're going to start the show off with. We have got one question that John Nolan's been on, and he says, I bought a set of chest waders, an industrial-sized tub of Swarthega. He says, we'll fill them up, slip naked into them, and place a siren on my head for this sumptuous feast.
Sounds good to me.
Whatever floats your boat, John. You know,
yeah.
Fair play. You know, you can listen to. I mean, me and John do it raw, so you know, if you want to sit in your waders raw in Swarthega, you know, I mean, fair play. You know, bit of finger blasting with Swarthega, and we're away. Anyway, enough of finger blasting. We've done that one. We're on to this week's hot topic, where we're going to discuss the John, the whip committee, this whip panel. What's all this about, John?
I really wish I knew. It sort of come out of nowhere, really. I didn't know they were planning on doing anything like this, and then all of a sudden there's this list of 16 noteworthies in racing who are going to sit around the table and decide Christ knows what about the whip. I mean, there's nothing been announced about what the hoping to have as an outcome, or what they're actually looking for from anybody that's sitting on the committee, or anything really. I can't really get my head around it. What they're trying to do, or what they want to do. Just all seems a bit pointless to me.
Well, I mean, as I said, this for me could be sort of the beginning of the end for the whip, if you like, because I mean, but again, who are they trying to appease here? What is it? Is it for the longevity of horse racing to continue without protest from people outside the sport? Do you think is that what we're trying to do, to make sure that racing has a longevity because of the animal rights protesters, etc., are just continually going to come after it?
Well, the thing is, if you do away with the whip, the next thing that they want you to do away with is certain bits.
Yeah.
And then after that, it'll be jockeys are too heavy, and they certainly shouldn't be riding them as 2-year-olds. And then it'll be, these downhill courses, these are no good, these are very risky. You can't outrun horses down hills like this.
Yeah. It's kind of weird, right? That where we're going as a nation, really. Just sidestepping from this subject, I had to laugh at a Sky Bet advert that it says racing's hard, but we make betting easy. Where? How? No, I mean, they don't make betting easy. They make it impossible. There's no way anyone that's worth the salt can get on. What's the point? Anyway, that's just a sidestep. But going back to the whip and why I think it's a dangerous path, this whip panel. Like I said, there's I believe there's no punters on this panel, is there?
No, they won't want any punter input because that might be too relevant.
Yeah, and I mean the thing is, this then let's give a scenario that further down the line they're looking maybe to sort of ease the whip out of the game, if you like, like
correctional purposes only.
Yeah, I'm wondering if that, but then it's a fine line, isn't it? Because then you're going to get jockeys that give them 3 or 4 and just say, well, if I didn't give him 3 or 4, he'd have hung right-handed and he'd have put me through rails. Now, and it's only his word against whoever, against whichever steward or whichever, you've seen how John Gosden can flannel anyone, regarding rides. So it's flannel. It's just, you could give him 3 or 4 love taps or cracks or whatever, and you could just literally go into the stewards and say, no, this horse would have hung right and put me through the rails, and I was doing it for my own safety, sir. And then what does when he puts his gin and tonic down and says, well, okay, fair enough. Exactly. So I think I agree with you. I think it's worrying times because also, John, I mean, do we think that if they do sort of like lessen the amounts of hits towards a no whip scenario, what's going to happen to the old-fashioned lazy horse?
Well, I think you'll find after a time that we'll be averaging about 30 of them a week getting shot because they're absolutely worthless. You can't do a damn thing with them. I mean, at the end of the day, they have to grasp an rather unpleasant nettle, and some part of racing is about coercing a thoroughbred to do its best. It's not all champagne and rainbows.
Yeah.
And if they can't sell that, they're running the wrong sport. In fact, they shouldn't be running any sport. But the people that are running our sport need to be sticking up for it, pointing out to them who ignorantly criticise it, why they're being ignorant, and basically telling them to piss off.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, this for me, I think we're in dangerous times, and with the sport, with betting on it, there's lots of different subjects flying around at the moment that is very detrimental for horse racing, and this is one of them. Like you said, it seems a bit pointless to me unless you are going to get rid of it, because what do you don't need it otherwise. So yeah, it's very 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 odd.
There's nothing to review as things stand.
No.
Nothing at all. The only thing I would review would remove the number of strikes allowed. And I'd have faith in my stewards to spot abuse rather than having faith in them being able to count up to 6. Because
that's it. I think
what counts as abuse with one horse is just pure and simple coercion with another one. I mean, horses are different. There's certain ones you can ping the stick off them 35 times in the last 2 furlongs, and they'd come back home and eat up, and they wouldn't have a bother on them. And that needs taken into account.
Yeah.
If you're having somebody in over the whip, have the trainer in as well. Ask the trainer about the horse. Can the horse take it? If the horse can take it, what's the problem?
Yeah. Very, very fair point to that. Yeah, no, completely concur. There needs more common sense in the game. I think that's the problem. From leadership, and this whip panel, I'm a bit unnerved by it. Let's say, like I was unnerved by the gambling commission many moons ago that was supposedly coming into racing to protect the punter. That's for another day, that subject. And we have just the one viewer's question for this week, which is from JCC Punter, who is an avid listener and follower on Twitter. Thanks for the question, JCC. Why do we have 9 meetings of racing, all suboptimally rewarded in terms of prize money? Would we prefer to have 4 or 5 well-backed meetings than 9 mediocre ones? And when will the bubble burst? John, have we got too much racing?
I think the bubble's already burst. Prize money's in a shocking state. Who we're catering for is anybody's guess, as long as the guess boatmakers. It again comes down to the insidious gross profits tax deal, where the boatmakers can basically pull racing's chain as much as they want, and racing just dances to the tune. And
yeah,
we are in a terrible fix with it, because this is utterly unsustainable. The horse population's struggling to meet the demand for races. We're getting small fields that aren't generating any turnover, and in addition to that, I mean, people are just getting sick. I mean, it's in danger of becoming a sport you can't follow properly. There's so much of it, I mean, people doing this full time, God alone knows how they're managing it, reviewing racing and doing notes and things. It's horrific, really. And that's if you're just concentrating on one code. I mean, if you're doing both flat and sticks, absolutely off the graph at the minute, the amount of work that's required to keep on top of this. And there's just no let up, I mean, nobody seems to want to put their hand up and call out to this.
No.
It's like the runaway train went down the hill and everybody waved it off,
Well, first and foremost, I mean, the bookmakers have clearly got their fingers right up racing's, jacks.
Yeah.
I mean, this really is. I mean, and the reason why we all know that is because of the start times. For starters, right? When we got to summer racing, it was always around 2 p.m. start times. That was fact, because the daylight's longer. And the last race would be 9:30 at night in peak time summer. Now, what we've got now is 12:30 starts, and we're staggering the meetings throughout the day, obviously, for betting shops. I kind of get that, but what I don't get is the amount of meetings. I mean, I don't think I have ever known 9 meetings on a Saturday. Correct me if I'm wrong. I've known it on some bank holidays and when we were at bank, but I cannot remember 9 British and Irish meetings on a just a standard Saturday. Cannot, and that for me is why it just does not like. I mean, if you do it full time, and you bet full time, then you've got to watch all the videos. You've got to watch the horses. You've got to make your notes. You cannot possibly do 9 meetings. It's just not there ain't enough time in a day to do 9 meetings. So, like you said, so it is diluting what's on offer because punters aren't taking any notice of what's on offer.
Yeah.
Because half of what's on offer. They'll get the bets picked out and they'll say, right, I fancy this, this, and this, but you can't do the racing properly. So for me, it's a big no-no, and like I said, it's definitely a worry in the way racing's going at the moment. Because did you remember a couple of months ago? I think they were complaining, or the BHA were saying that there was very little chance that they could fund racing properly going forwards the way it's going. Well, so why have all of a sudden, and nothing's been announced, why is all of a sudden mass meetings, like en masse? Like you say, bookmakers have clearly had the fingers in them, really.
Absolutely. I mean, racing is like one of them sooty puppets, isn't it? With the bokies and up their ass working the controls.
Yeah, it's not good. It's not good. It really isn't. And I'd be in favour of cutting the meetings down by at least, and I'll say this, at least a third, at least. So, Mr. JCC Punter, yes, we are in agreement. There is too much racing. It's the wrong path to take. But as John says, we are firmly in the grip of the greedy bookmakers. So let's see if we can take a few quid off them tomorrow, and let's give them a real good old fisting tomorrow with me and John coming up with some belters, hopefully. And who knows, we might get a Barsteward special because me and John haven't conferred. We don't know what each other's.
It's like family fortunes. This with a racing team. There's no conferring.
It is. So we'll go on to our first then tomorrow. We'll go to Lingfield for the Derby trial meeting. And the first one there on the ITV4 card is the Novibet Oaks trial. That's 1 mile, 3.5 furlongs. Technique is the 9-4 jolly on the opening prices. John, what's going to win the Oaks trial?
I don't know if you remember, but when this Technique ran at Epsom at a fairly big price, I sent you a message just before the race and said what a bonny looking bugger she was.
Oh, you did? You did. I do, yeah.
Was it Epsom on your market?
No, it was Epsom, yeah. Yeah, it was, yeah.
Yeah, no worries with handling the track. Came down there as it was on casters, really. And I don't think this is a great race, and I think given normal improvement from second run to third run, I think Technique can win this. Really.
Does it not put you off that Worker ran moderately at Chester?
No, I don't give a lot of regard to Chester Farm. To be honest, I half expected that to bomb out down there, to be honest.
Yeah.
I didn't particularly fancy it. I wasn't surprised it didn't run all that well. So I wasn't too concerned as regards this. I think.
Are you happy if the ground gets soft with forecast rain? You're happy with that?
I think she can win, but she hasn't been missed in the betting, has she? So I mean, I wouldn't be tying my flag too firmly to a pole. As I say, looking for this election, I couldn't look past her, but unless somebody put a gun to me, I wouldn't be betting her either.
Yeah. Okay. So John goes for Technique. He did give me a paddock note before Epsom, big price as well, nearly won. So yeah, I can vouch for that. My selection would be Ocean Road. Hugo Palmer's Oisin Murphy in the saddle. Filly by Australia. Obviously, Australia saddled decent. Ledger winner in Galileo Chrome last year. And Ocean Road, for me, has showed a lovely bit of a lovely blend of speed and stamina in its races. I think this has got what it takes to become a really nice middle distance filly. I don't know how far, because I haven't got really an angle of where I think she can become listed group class. I certainly do. The one thing that worries me tomorrow, if you're supporting Ocean Road and you're going with my fancy, is that I think they'll drop her out, because obviously with the first time up this much in trip, I've just got this feeling they're gonna ride her negatively, and I tend not to like that around Lingfield. I think it suits horses generally being on the pace a little bit, and that's my one worry, that Oisin might just drop her out a bit too much to settle her, and then, because after all it's only a trial and it's a long season ahead. But Ocean Road, I think, is a really nice filly going forward, so that would be a small play for me in the 215 at around the 13-2 mark. So we'll move on to the 250, the Novibet Derby Trial, won by the likes of the great Slip Anchor in the past. We've got 11-8 Fav Adayar, John.
Yeah, I mean, you'd have to think this is a disappointing trial if something like that deserves to be an 11-8 favourite, really, because he looked bloody slow in that race at Sandown, didn't he?
Yeah.
I mean, it took him an age to get rolling. And probably, if anything, this I know it's a longer trip at Lingfield, but this would probably ride a bit sharper than that, especially if they didn't go a great tag early on. So, in all conscience, I could not even consider backing that at that price when was it about 9-1 at Sandown.
Yeah,
it was even bigger.
It was 8-1 FP.
Yeah. I mean, I thought Kyprios had a fairly solid look to its form, and we'd probably be ridden handy enough and be given every chance turning in. Again, it's not one I'm breaking my neck to back, but I think if pressed for a selection, I'd probably chuck in with Kyprios, just because I think the favourite could find itself a bit of a mountain to climb in the straight, and I don't know as Lingfield straights as user-friendly as Sandown as regards making ground up.
No, I'd go with that. Like I said, I don't like my horses dropped out. So, with that in mind, I agree with you on Kyprios. I think he's a bit of a boyer, hence they've gone for the pieces for the first time.
Yeah.
He ran really well on his debut at Galway last year to win, because it was a slow pace and he still managed to power up the hill and win. Used his class. Then he messed about in the Zetland last back end, completely just ran no sort of race. And then I watched him on his reappearance at Cork, and he could have won a lot easier than what he did. He got there, messed around, messed about completely, just took the piss really. And once the jockey had sort of given him a few liveners and straightened him up, he was fine, went on and did it. So I think Kyprios, has got a lot of progression in him, because I think he's hiding a lot of his ability. So it'd be Kyprios for me, with a note on Scope of Ralph Beckett's. The mother obviously was a half sister to Oaks winner Look Here, and Scope ran an eye-catching race, I felt, at Newmarket.
Yeah, well, isn't it?
Ran on well after being dropped out, and gave the winner first run, and was powering through the line. And you think, and Rafe Ralph brothers certainly know how to win the trials, and yeah. So Scope, I would say, steps.
While we're on the subject of this race, what do you now make of the high definition situation? Has he run out of time to make the derby now?
Worrying, yeah, because it's like the excuse was, his bloods are wrong. Usually that means it's just done a crap piece of work. They can never say that, can they? Really,
No.
it's like its bloods are wrong, or it's it's coughing or whatever. But really, it's just worked to about 60.
Because it was bang on, like what you just said was its last braze day, wouldn't you? When they announced its bloods were wrong, you just said it'd be doing a sharp 6 or something like that day with a view to running 8. So that ties in really.
Well, theoretically, now we're getting to a stage where it's probably going to have to go straight to the Derby if you know.
Because Dante's out, surely.
You'd think so. If bloods are wrong this week, what are bloods going to be like next week? So yeah, I'd be very worried if I was on high definition for now, but we'll see what happens there. So yeah, not the best trial, but me and John in agreement on Kyprios, and just have a little watch of scope as well for Rafe Ralph's team. We move on to the 325, which is the 7 furlong race. It's the Novibet Chartwell Filly Stakes. It's a Group 3 contest, and favourite is the Chris Wall train Double or Bubble at 11-4. John, any thoughts on this?
Minimal thoughts, really. I thought Bounce the Blues probably had enough form in the tank. A decent draw. Might just bounce themselves out and bag the rail and be hard to pass. But again, it's not one that I'd be breaking my neck to get to the front of the queue to back.
No, I mean, I've sort of little view on this as well, except the fact that if I were confident Isabella Giles had trained on, I would be all over her here, because the fact is, I think she prefers a bit of cutting the ground.
Yeah.
And I think she likes to be out and away and gone and making the running, and I think that suits perfectly here. Ideally birthing trap 6 as well, close to your sort of half choice. And I just felt that I have no feeling that she's actually trained on, because I was a bit underwhelmed by the run in the Fred Darling, really. I know she wasn't beat far, 3 lengths, beat. It's not the end of the world, but it was a pretty tepid effort. She always pulls hard, so I don't use the excuse that she was a bit free, because she's always pulled hard.
Yeah.
So it's one of them, really. Isabella Giles would be for me if I were confident she trained on, but I'm not. So I'm going to sit this race out, probably with you, John. We might get some pate and things in, pate on toast.
Let the dog in.
Yeah. So yeah, we're of the same opinion there. 4 o'clock Lingfield is the next race on ITV4. Disappointing turnout for Runner Affair over the 7.5 furlongs. Favourite, John, is Turn on the Charm at half arm 6-4.
I just couldn't even think about getting involved in this, to be honest. I just thought, well, the favourite's probably got enough in the tank, but do you need to back it?
No. Not given they're probably going to drop it out at the back of the cellar.
Exactly.
And it's late.
Yeah. No, I can do without that kind of race in my life, to be honest.
Again, I hate to always concur with you, but the reason being is that I just laugh at connections sometimes, because right. So what they've done with this, they've been taking it to like Nottingham. They've managed to win there. Held up last at Nottingham over the mile, which is terrible. Basically, and then they did it again last time. Held up again at Nottingham behind Astro King, and it's like, what? And so where do you go next? I know what. We'll go to another front runners track and hold it up again. So you just left having to watch it, really, because it is the best horse. That's why it's fair. But it's no good backing the best horse when you see it dropped out in 4th and something's and they've given the Kilt an easy lead or Appleby an easy lead, and it's. You may as well just do something else. So, yeah, I agree with you. No play from me either on that one. Right, we move to other TV races of the afternoon, and we shall go across to Haydock, John. I don't know if you've done the one jumps race there, which is the Swinton, the big Swinton. In fact, we were on about race names the other week, weren't we? Right?
Yeah.
Look at this. So it's Potemps Network, Swinton, Handicap Hurdle. Well, everyone knows that Swinton were the Swinton
Of course,
Insurance.
yeah.
So they've
Absolutely.
got that name engraved in that race. So yeah, so that's what we said. We would like to see probably more of that, I think. So anyway, Potemps Network, Swinton, Handicap Hurdle. John, 11-2 favourite Copperly. What are you going for?
Well, one of the things I noticed about Haydock is the flat course has a lower stick rating than the jumps course. So I was wondering if Kirkland Tellwrong had actually watered the wrong course in his wisdom.
Probably.
You know, I mean, he's enough of a jabbering fool to do something like that. So it wouldn't be the biggest shock. But anyway, as regards the Swinton, or the Potemps Swinton as I should call it, I thought Defining Battle could still turn out to be a classy individual. Not in the least bit exposed yet, and could have got in a bit lately here. They're not giving you tenors in the betting, I know, but I think there's a smidgen of value in the price. I think it's a nice travelling horse which you want round here, and I think if it just slicks its jumping up a bit, it can probably find £8 or £10. So that would be the one for me in this.
Yeah, I mean, do you worry he's a bit jadey, a little bit jadey, bit, you know?
I think the kid will find plenty of cover in this and deliver him late, and hopefully you know, I mean, you can get away with it a couple of times with this before it goes completely la-la, I think.
La-la, I like that. Yeah, well, okay, so Defining Battle for John, Bridget Andrews for Dan Skelton, and Darren and Yates at the 8-1 mark. I'm going for a long price selection here, and I'm quite confident actually that this is a wrong price. Sorry to Dan Gilbert for ruining your price.
Oh, damn.
But Cormier is top value for me at 25-1 plus. Absolutely top class value. And here are the reasons. He's quite a keen sort, and I think this race will play to his strengths. His career so far, he started off at Utoxeter and beat Falvois this season by 3 lengths. Falvois is now rated 144. He then went to Fakenham, did quite a bit wrong, was quite keen, but still won absolutely pulling a bus. And then the next 2 starts was in the Greatwood, which Dan likes to win. And it wasn't disgraced, 7th in that. And they went far, far too slow. And he also lost a shoe. And then last time out at Ascot, it was held up and not so sleepy, made all in the race. It suited, as we know, Ascot suits the front end, and nothing held up got in it. And so, again, I've discounted that run. It's had a nice break, comes here fresh, and has dropped now back to 130 from, it was 136 in the Greatwood. So I just think Cormier will run a massive, because the Swintons are always strongly run. There's plenty of pace in this. And I think Cormier's got a massive chance at 25-1 plus, John.
Couldn't argue with any of that. What's it rated on the flat? Because Dan also likes to win an Eber occasionally, doesn't he?
He'd be struggling to do that unless. But then again, as I said, sometimes horses improve with age, etc. And Cormier's got a rating on the flat, I believe, of around 69. Don't quote me on that.
Very unexposed, isn't it?
Gospel. But yeah, I think it's about 69. I'm just going to check that up now while we're. Yes, I'm right. 69. So 69 is very, very workable on the flat, and I'm sure Dan at some point might venture back down that path, because horse is quite lightly raced. Not raced since December, so he can certainly earn his corn in the summer months coming ahead. So plenty to look forward to for Dan Gilbert. That's Cormier, my selection.
As there always is.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, he's a good man, is Dan, and I wish him well. And also Brian Ellison deserves a bit of luck. He won biggest race I can think of him winning this year was the Ida with Sam's Adventure. So it'd be a very welcome win for the yard to win a Swinton to finish the well, I say finish the
To
national
start the
season.
season with a bang.
To start the season, yeah. I think Swinton used to be classed as the old season, but
It was,
anyway,
yeah.
kind of losing my bearings. Right, okay. So we've done Lingfield and Haydock, the big race there with our selections. Now we move on to 4 races that ITV4 are putting out at Ascot. And the first is the 155. It's the mile on the straight. It's the exclusively at turgid.co.uk fillies handicap. 11-4 favourite is Lights On, trained by the Baron himself. John, any view on the 155?
Yes, I thought the Baron himself probably has a shade up his sleeve, eh? I think this has a bit going for it, to be honest. I could say this one found a bit more and winning this. In all honesty, I don't know why they would keep going with something that would only rate where we are at the minute. I think we'll be looking to get this up towards 3 figures by the end of the season, and you won't start doing that by not winning this, will you? So I think we want to be winning this, really.
I thought it was impressive at HQ on reappearance.
Yeah.
Obviously up 7 for that, and I probably agree with you that it's got potential to just drift into listed class as the season goes on. One problem though, it's a Siune, and obviously there's quite a bit of rain forecast.
Obviously, if the rain came, you'd have to be careful because, as you say quite rightly, Siunes and wet weather don't mix.
Yeah. Siunes are notoriously not that very good on softer ground, but of course it might only be good to soft tomorrow, which is obviously not soft to heavy. They might get the forecast wrong. They're forever changing. I believe currently they're looking at 4 to 5 millimetres now at Ascot. It was 6. That's tomorrow morning. So again, if you get up tomorrow and you've got all fast grounders on your bet, or you're gonna have to stick closely to the weather before you put your cash down. That's the sensible advice. In the same race, I did feel Dreamlope is still workable off 91. That's very warm handicap form at Haydock. It was blocked for a run for the majority of the straight, though again, Dreamlope is totally unproven on ground, softer than good. So again, me and John, John likes the stout horse, can totally agree why. I'd certainly think on good to soft it'd probably be fine. But if it got very, very got much softer than that, I'd be worried. So that's our selections there, but very, very tentative we are, both of us there. We go to the 230, which is the Turk Pays More at turk.co.uk Buckhound Stakes, a listed event over 1.5 miles, and a competitive affair. 11 runners go to post, and without a fight, if Simon Red Christens is 4 to 1 market leader. John, any view in this?
Yes, this is probably my bet of the week.
Whoa, love it.
Yes, Mr. Haggis, Roberto Escobar. Now, we haven't seen this lad since the Voltige. We know there was issues because he's had a wind up. He's been left on 103. There's no way Haggis thought this was going to top out at 103 last year, and he'd never gone anywhere near the Voltige. I think this is fit there to have a good season. He could have aimed at a fairly valuable handicap if he'd wanted off this sort of mark. Instead, he's just happy to plop it into a listed race, win this and move up the ranks. And I honestly don't see very much danger to this. I think this is an absolute good bet tomorrow.
Ding dong, we have a BARSTEWARDS special. We've done it again.
There we go.
Yeah, here we go. This is my bet also of Saturday anyway. I've not looked at Sundays yet.
People think we're conferring here.
I know this is just, I didn't want this, I'll be honest, because we need to be selective on these. We don't need a BARSTEWARDS special every week.
No.
But yes, This is a Bar Steward special. Roberto Escobar, 15-2. Take the 15-2. It won't be 15-2 on the off. The reasons why, for exactly as John said, it was incredibly impressive when it won at York, beating Matthew Flanders. It just destroyed that horse that day. Matthew Flanders is currently rated 99, was third to Nugget in the Spring Mile, and Roberto Escobar absolutely just kicked that out at way like it didn't exist. Obviously, then steps up to the Voltager, which was probably just a step too far at that particular point, given how strong the Voltager was. Pile driver, etc., Berkshire Rocker, we're talking proper Group 1 form. And basically, at that stage of his career, third run, he just found it that bit tough. He's had his wind tightened up. And what boosts my confidence is, look at the entries for Roberto Escobar. Yeah. No messing here. In the Coronation Cup, in the Hardwick, there's no way this horse is listed class, because William Agus does not tilt at windmills. He does not put horses in races that they can't win. He's a very shrewd operator. And the fact that he's entered this horse in the Coronation Cup Group 1 and Hardwick Group 2 tells you the regard he's got this in. So, yeah, me and John we've got a Bar Steward special. Roberto Escobar, 15-2, pile on. Good stuff. Right, we move to the next Ascot race that's on ITV, and it's, of course, the Nick Davis kind of betting heat. He loves things like this, does Nick Davis. Spends about 3 weeks on it, like people do jigsaw puzzles. These 10,000 pieces. Well, Nick Davis spends eons on races like this, and you can probably tell me more about the Victoria Cup than anyone in the land. So, John, have you got a fancy for the Victoria Cup?
Yes, rather like Nick, I've been sat in the conservatory with my cribbage board and 14 burnt out matchsticks, working out draw permutations and everything else, and I've come down in favour, well, funnily enough, given the selection in the previous race, I'm actually going for Escobar, who has won off a higher mark than Taters. He's got a great draw, I think. We know the track suits this one star, they're running massively. And I just think 10-1 is very, very sporting, really.
So that's Escobar. It's actually bigger than that now, John, I believe. I believe it's 16-1.
Well, any coming glad of it. Yeah.
Richard Kingscourt takes the ride. Ran third to Finest Sound on his reappearance. Looked like do you think it had a spin that day, John?
Yeah, I do. Yeah, I think this is the target, because it's an ideal race for him. They should be going back to him last furlong.
Good stuff. No, I like it. No, like you say, it's a course. It's one at this course. Cannot see a fault with that at 16-1. That's John's selection. Escobar. I've not really got a selection in this. To be honest, I sort of bottled out of the race. I did like Fox Champion, but I'm not sure about the drawing stall too. It's quite out on the wing there for the horse. Second off the trainer change from Richard Hannon to the Ralph Rafe brothers. And I did think that horse, it's going to be winning off 95. I'm just not so sure it'll be tomorrow. But I'd still have it on my list. But I'm not that bothered about supporting it tomorrow. So John's choice there is Escobar for the Victoria Cup. We move on to the 4:15 at Ascot. It's the 1.5 mile exclusively at handicap. And the favourite is Andrew Balding's Group 1 Power at 9-2. Any of you here, John?
Well, my first view was that I didn't like the favourite one bit with Sill up over the 1.5 mile round here. I don't know what's wrong with Sill at the moment. Well, I do. He's still one-dimensional to be riding some of these big, strong horses that need a bit of time to find some rhythm, and it's getting him into trouble in races. And it's a shame, because he's a likeable lad. He's a hard trier, but how long Group 1 Power are going to put up with this, I do not know. With regard to the race itself, I had a sneaking fancy first time out for the Rooney horse. It's Good to Laugh. I thought that had a few bits of form there that you put it right in this. And Clive Cox seems to have his time in decent form. It's 20-1. It's a sporting poke, you know. You'll get the right kind of ride from curves. It's got a single figure draw. That'll do me, you know. But I'm not going mad.
Yeah, I mean, again, I just thought this were like a really tricky heat. I did think that if the rains came, then Luganini would be very interested.
Mm-hmm.
Because Roger the Dodgers, have needed a run this year.
Had a massive spin up last time as well, didn't it?
I mean, it was like a road at Pontefract. I remember. In fact, I was astonished at the market move. They backed it from 5-2 to 6-4.
Yeah.
And I can remember talking to Koo, and I said, this horse has to have soft ground. What are they doing?
Mm.
How is this 6-4? And apparently Ponty was like a road that day, according to some of the jockeys. So I'm not bothered about that run. And the fact that the last time it ran on soft ground, it ran second to Kingbrook in the old Rolly Cup at Newmarket. Only got beat half a length. It's only £4 higher. Kips and Tritonic behind it. I just thought Luganini had got solid form.
Yeah, I mean, they're having another little lift at it tonight, aren't they? It's 11-2 into fours.
Oh, is it into fours now?
Yeah.
Well, that bores me a bit, but yeah, I mean that's the sort of each way bet to nothing, if you like. If you
get the same as all. I think they've got one there, don't they?
Yeah, and the Doyler, the Holly Doyler in the saddle, my favourite. So
the Doyler.
It's now the Doyler. Yeah, she took over from the other idiot. She's the proper Doyler now.
He's just a Doyle.
He's just a Doyler.
Yeah.
She's a Doyler and he's a doily. Yeah. Anyway, right. Have we got any other business, John, for the weekend?
The only other business was I don't even know if this is going to run. Endlessly at Nottingham. It's declared to run tonight at Ripon. I don't know whether this is the plan's a swift follow-up or what, but I thought the Nottingham race was a lot more suitable than the Ripon one. I'm kind of hoping for a late withdrawal at Ripon, but that was the only other one I was interested in, really.
Yeah. No, I've got nothing really to mention other than what we've mentioned, but we have got a BARSTEWARDS special, so I hope you enjoyed that. The fact that we've given you a big winner last week, and we're going to hopefully do it again this week. I can promise you there was no conferring. It was just wowzers that we came up with the same best bet, if you like. So that's Roberto Escobar. It is Roberto Escobar.
It is, yeah.
I get mixed up with Pablo Escobar, Roberto Escobar. I mean, it's like everyone's naming her after a drug baron. I mean...
You wouldn't think there was a drug problem in racing, would you?
So Roberto Escobar. Right, that's just about it. Just before you go, though, please bear in mind that, and I'll put this on Twitter anyway, that there's no Sunday sermon this week. This is because we're moving it to Monday as a one-off for a Sunday sermon special regards to the Dante meeting next week, so we can cover a lot of the races there. We thought that'd be a more interesting sermon to do a few questions, bit of banter, and cover the best bets over the Dante meeting. Obviously, can't do all the races properly because we haven't got the decks, but we can certainly give you an insight into what me and John are thinking for that week. So don't miss the sermon this week on Monday evening that will be covering the York's Dante meeting next week. So I hope you've enjoyed the show. Good luck with your punting tomorrow, and be wary of that rain around tomorrow before you decide on your bets. That's all from me and John. Bye for now.